The transport ship shuddered as it docked with Station Kepler 442. Jiwoo Park pressed her face against the small window and stared at the massive space station. It looked like a giant metal city floating in the darkness of space. Lights blinked everywhere across its surface. Ships of all sizes moved around it like busy insects. "Hard to believe we made it here," said Woo-jin Kim. He sat in the seat next to her, also looking out the window. His hands shook a little with excitement. 3 humans out of thousands who applied, added Mira Lee from across the aisle. She checked her uniform one more time. "My parents still can't believe it." Jiwoo smiled at her friends. They had trained together on Earth for 2 years, hoping to get into the Galactic Defense Academy. Most people said humans were too weak, too small, too slow. But here they were, the docking tube connected with a loud clang. Other passengers began to stand. Jiwoo saw her first real aliens through the ship's windows. They were huge. Some had 4 arms, others had thick armored skin. A few had long tails that moved like snakes. "Remember what Commander Hayes told us," Woo-jin whispered. "Stay together. Be respectful. Don't let them intimidate us." Jiwoo nodded. She picked up her small bag and followed the line of new cadets toward the exit. As they walked through the docking tube, she could hear loud voices speaking in different alien languages. Some sounds were like growling. Others were like musical notes. They entered a huge hall filled with hundreds of new cadets. Jiwoo felt very small. Most of the aliens were twice her height. Some were even bigger. Their skin came in every color she could imagine. Green, blue, red, purple, and colors that didn't have names. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy," boomed a voice from the front of the hall. A tall reptilian creature stood on a raised platform. Its scales were dark green and its yellow eyes swept across the crowd. "I am Commander Vextar. For the next 4 years, this station will be your home. You will train here. You will study here. Many of you will fail here." The commander's eyes stopped on the 3 humans. Jiwoo felt hundreds of alien eyes turning to look at them too. Whispers started around the hall. "Look how small they are. Why are soft flesh creatures here? They must be here by mistake." Commander Vexitar continued speaking. "You come from many worlds, many species. But here you are all equal. Here you must prove you deserve to defend our galaxy against the Void Swarm." A massive figure pushed through the crowd toward the front. It stood almost 12 feet tall. Its body was covered in thick gray skin marked with old scars. Bone ridges ran along its spine and arms. Its face looked like a cross between a wolf and a crocodile. Sharp teeth filled its mouth. "Commander," the creature said in a deep, rumbling voice, "I am Alpha Torgon of the Kralix. My pack and I have traveled far to join this academy. But I must ask," it turned and pointed directly at Jiwoo and her friends, "why are prey animals allowed in a warrior school?" Laughter erupted from many of the alien cadets. The sound was loud and harsh. Jiwoo felt her face grow hot with anger, but she stayed silent. Commander Vextar's eyes narrowed. "Every cadet here earned their place through testing and evaluation. Species does not matter. Testing?" Torgon laughed again. The sound was like rocks grinding together. What test could these weak creatures pass? Look at them, no claws, no natural armor, no size, no strength. They would not last 1 minute against a real enemy. More laughter came from the crowd. Some aliens made comments about humans being better suited for kitchen work or cleaning duties. Jiwoo felt Woo-jin's hand touch her arm, trying to calm her down. But Jiwoo had heard enough. She stepped forward, away from her friends. The laughter died down as aliens noticed her movement. "You think humans are weak?" Jiwoo said. Her voice was clear and steady. "You think we don't belong here?" Torgon looked down at her with amusement. Little Prey speaks.
"Yes, soft flesh."
"I think you are weak. I think you are here because your leaders begged for special treatment. I think you will run home crying before the first month ends. Then let me prove you wrong," Jiwoo said. The hall went completely silent. Even Commander Vextar looked surprised. Torgon's massive head tilted to one side. "Prove me wrong? How does a small prey animal prove anything to a predator?" "The Trial of Fangs," Jiwoo said. She had read about it in the Academy manual. It was the combat test that determined class rankings. "Challenge me to the Trial of Fangs." The silence stretched on for long seconds. Then Torgon threw back his head and roared with laughter. The sound echoed off the high ceiling. Other aliens joined in, laughing so hard that some held their sides. "This is the best joke I have heard in years," Torgon said when he could speak again. "A tiny human wants to fight in the Trial of Fangs. You would not survive the warm-up exercises. Are you afraid? Jiwoo asked quietly. The laughter stopped instantly. Torgon's yellow eyes blazed with anger. The bone ridges along his spine stood up higher. What did you say, pray? I asked if you were afraid, Jiwoo repeated. If you're so sure humans are weak, then fighting me should be easy. Unless you're scared that I might surprise you. Torgon's lips pulled back, showing rows of sharp teeth. Very well, little human. I accept your challenge. When you are lying broken on the arena floor, remember that you asked for this. When I'm standing over you, remember that you laughed, Jiwoo replied. Commander Vextar stepped between them. Enough, the trial of Fangs will be held in 3 days. Both cadets will prepare according to Academy rules. No contact between them until the trial begins. As the crowd began to disperse, aliens made bets on how quickly Jiwoo would lose. Most said less than 30 seconds. A few generous ones gave her a full minute. Woojin and Mira surrounded Jiwoo as they walked toward their assigned quarters. Are you crazy? Woojin whispered. Did you see the size of him? He could step on you by accident, Mira added. Jiwoo smiled. Maybe, but he's never fought a human before. He doesn't know what we can do. What can we do? Woojin asked. We're not superhuman, Jiwoo. We're just human. Exactly, Jiwoo said. And sometimes being human is enough. The human quarters were small and simple. 3 beds, 3 desks, and a tiny common area with a table. Jiwoo sat on her bed, reading files on her tablet about Kralik's anatomy. Her friends watched her with worried faces. His bone structure is incredibly dense, Jiwoo said, pointing at the screen. But look here. The joints have to be flexible for movement. That means they're also vulnerable. Jiwoo, Mira said gently, maybe you should apologize to Torgon. Tell him you were angry and didn't mean the challenge. Jiwoo looked up from her tablet. Would you apologize? That's different. I'm not the one who has to fight him. No, it's not different, Jiwoo said. He didn't just insult me. He insulted all humans. He said we don't belong here. If I back down now, every alien in this academy will think he was right. Woojin sat down next to her. But what if he really is right? What if we're just fooling ourselves? Jiwoo closed her tablet and looked at both her friends. Do you remember the day we first met? At the Soul Training Center? They nodded. Master Park was teaching a class about fighting bigger opponents. He said the strongest fighter isn't always the one who wins. The smartest fighter wins. He taught us that every creature has weaknesses, even giants. Master Park never fought a 12-foot alien with claws and armor, Woojin pointed out. No, but he taught me how to think about fighting, how to see what others miss. Jiwoo stood up and went to the small mirror on the wall. She looked at her reflection. She was 5 feet 4 inches tall. She weighed 120 pounds. Compared to Torgon, she was tiny. But she remembered her father's words from when she was a child. Size is not everything, little star. A small key can open a big door if it fits the right lock. A knock at their door interrupted her thoughts. Woojin opened it to find a tall, thin human with short black hair. He looked older than them, maybe 25. I'm Hyunsik Choi, he said. 2nd-year cadet. I heard about your challenge. Come to tell me I'm crazy too? Jiwoo asked. Hyunsik smiled. Actually, no. I came to help you train. The 3 friends looked surprised. You're the first human to challenge an alpha to the trial of Fangs. Hyunsik continued. Win or lose, you're making a statement. But I'd prefer you win. How do you know about fighting aliens? Mira asked. Last year I fought a hexapod warrior in the trials. 6 arms, 4 legs, fast as lightning. Everyone said I would lose in seconds, and what happened? Woojin asked. I won. Not because I was stronger or faster. I won because I studied how hexapods move. I found their weakness and used it. Jiwoo's eyes lit up. What weakness? They have 6 arms, but they can only coordinate 4 at a time during combat. The other 2 always copy the movements of the main 4. If you can predict the pattern, you can time your attacks perfectly. Show me, Jiwoo said. For the next 2 hours, Hyunsik taught them what he had learned about fighting different alien species. He showed them how to read movement patterns, how to find balance points, how to use an opponent's size against them. The key is to never fight their fight, he said. Don't try to be stronger or faster. Be smarter. Be unexpected. After Hyunsik left, Jiwoo went to the Academy's training center. It was enormous, with equipment designed for dozens of different species. She found a quiet corner and began practicing the moves her father had taught her. She started with basic forms, Taekwondo kicks that used her whole body's momentum. Jiu-jitsu throws that redirected an opponent's energy. Aikido movements that turned defense into attack. As she practiced, she noticed other cadets watching her. Most were aliens who had never seen human martial arts before. They whispered among themselves, pointing at her movements. "Strange fighting style," she heard one say. "Why does she move so much? Waste of energy." Soft flesh creatures are very odd, but some watched with more interest. A few even tried to copy some of her movements when they thought she wasn't looking. On the second day of training, Jiwoo encountered her first real problem. She was practicing on a combat dummy when it suddenly stopped working. The machine that controlled it had been damaged. Oil leaked from its joints. "Equipment failure," said a technician who came to look at it. "Very strange. This machine was working fine yesterday." Jiwoo looked around the training center. Several alien cadets were watching her, including some from Torgon's pack. They weren't trying to hide their smiles. That evening, she found her combat boots filled with a sticky, smelly substance. Mira's study notes had been erased from her tablet. "Wu Jin's training clothes had holes cut in them. They're trying to break us down," Wu Jin said angrily. "Make us give up before the trial." "It's working," Mira said quietly. "I keep thinking about calling my parents, telling them this was a mistake." Jiwoo sat down across from them. "Do you know what my father told me when I was 7 years old? I was crying because the other kids at school said I was too small to play sports with them." Her friends waited for her to continue. He said, "Little Star, the biggest trees grow slowly. They put their energy into strong roots instead of fast growth. When the storm comes, the big, weak trees fall down, but the tree with strong roots survives." "What does that mean?" Wu Jin asked. "It means we don't have to be the biggest or the strongest. We just have to be strong enough to weather the storm." That night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the trial, about Torgon's size and strength, about the way he had laughed at her, about all the aliens who thought humans didn't belong here. She got up quietly and went to the observation deck. Through the large windows, she could see Earth in the distance. It looked like a small blue marble floating in space, so tiny compared to the massive alien world she had read about. But from that tiny world had come music and art and stories. From that tiny world had come the idea that every person had value, no matter how small or different they were. From that tiny world had come the belief that intelligence and courage could overcome any obstacle. "Having trouble sleeping?" a voice said behind her. Jiwoo turned to see Commander Vextar approaching. The reptilian officer's scales gleamed in the starlight. "Yes, sir," she said. "The trial is tomorrow. Are you ready?" Jiwoo thought about the question. "I don't know if anyone can be ready to fight an Alpha Kralix, but I'm as ready as I can be." Commander Vextar nodded slowly. "Do you know why I allowed this challenge?" "No, sir." "Because in 20 years of teaching at this academy, I have never seen a cadet stand up to an alpha the way you did. Not even other alphas. You showed something that day that impressed me." "What was that, sir?" "Courage," the commander said. "Real courage. Not the absence of fear, but action in spite of fear. That is rare in any species." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Whatever happens tomorrow, Cadet Park, you have already proven something important. You have proven that humans belong here." As Commander Vextar walked away, Jiwoo looked back at Earth. Tomorrow she would step into an arena and face a creature that could kill her with one swipe of his claws. But tonight she felt something she hadn't expected. She felt ready. The arena was much larger than Jiwoo had expected. It stretched out like a small stadium with seats rising up on all sides. Hundreds of alien cadets filled those seats, their voices creating a noise like thunder. At the center of the arena, the fighting ground could change shape and terrain with advanced technology. Jiwoo stood in the preparation room, wearing the Academy's standard combat suit. The material was tough but flexible, designed to protect against most injuries without restricting movement. Her hands were wrapped to protect her knuckles. Her feet were bare for better grip and balance. "Final equipment check," said a medical officer. He was a blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. 2 arms checked her suit while the other 2 scanned her with medical equipment. "All readings normal. No illegal enhancements detected." "I'm ready," Jiwoo said. Through the walls she could hear the crowd getting louder. They were excited for the show. Most had come to watch a human get defeated quickly and brutally. The door opened and Commander Vextar entered. "The trial will have 3 rounds," he explained. "Each round tests different combat skills. You must win all 3 to complete the challenge." "What are the rounds?" Jiwoo asked. First round, multiple opponent combat. Second round, armored opponent combat. Third round, alpha combat against Torgon himself. Jiwoo nodded. She had expected something like this. The Academy wanted to test every aspect of her fighting ability before the main event. The rules are simple, Commander Vextar continued. No weapons except natural body weapons. No killing blows. Combat ends when one opponent cannot continue. Medical teams are standing by. I understand. Good luck, Cadet Park. The door to the arena opened. Sound hit Jiwoo like a physical force. Thousands of voices cheering, booing, and shouting. As she walked onto the fighting ground, the noise became even louder. Presenting Cadet Jiwoo Park of Earth, announced a voice from speakers around the arena. First human to challenge an alpha in the Trial of Fangs. Some aliens cheered, but most made sounds of amusement or disbelief. Jiwoo could see Woojin and Mira in the crowd along with Hyunsik. They waved at her with encouraging smiles. On the opposite side of the arena, Torgon sat with other alpha cadets. His yellow eyes were fixed on her with predatory focus. When their eyes met, he drew one clawed finger across his throat in a threatening gesture. Jiwoo ignored him and focused on the arena floor. It had transformed into a rocky landscape with uneven ground and small boulders scattered around. First round begins now, the announcer said. A door opened and 6 alien cadets entered the arena. Jiwoo recognized the species from her studies. They were hexapods, insect-like creatures with 6 arms and hard shell coverings. Each one was about 7 feet tall and moved with quick, jerky motions. The crowd became quieter, watching to see what would happen. The hexapods spread out around Jiwoo, surrounding her. She could see them communicating with rapid, clicking sounds. They were planning a coordinated attack. The first one moved. It came at her with all 6 arms swinging in complex patterns. Jiwoo remembered Hyunsik's lesson about hexapod fighting. 4 main arms, 2 copying arms. She watched the pattern for 3 seconds, then ducked under the main arms and grabbed one of the copying arms. Using the creature's own momentum, she spun and threw it into the second hexapod. Both went down in a tangle of arms and legs. The other 4 attacked at once. This was the real test. Jiwoo moved like water flowing between their attacks. She used their size against them, staying too close for their long arms to be effective. She targeted their leg joints with quick kicks, throwing them off balance. When one stumbled, she used it as a stepping stone to reach another one's head level. A precise strike to a nerve cluster in its neck sent it to the ground unconscious. The crowd was getting excited now. This wasn't going the way they had expected. The remaining 3 hexapods changed tactics. Instead of trying to surround her, they attacked in a line. This was actually easier for Jiwoo. She could focus on one at a time while using the terrain to her advantage. She led them toward a large boulder, then suddenly changed direction. The first hexapod couldn't stop in time and crashed into the rock. The second one tripped over the first. Jiwoo jumped onto their backs and reached the third one before it could react. Her father had taught her that sometimes the best defense was to get so close that the enemy couldn't attack properly. She wrapped her arms around the hexapod's torso and used a jujitsu throw to slam it into the ground. When the dust settled, all 6 hexapods were down. Jiwoo stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard but victorious. The arena went completely silent for several seconds, then erupted in surprised cheers and gasps. Round 1 goes to Cadet Park, the announcer said, sounding shocked himself. Jiwoo looked up at Torgon. The massive Kralix was no longer smiling. The arena floor changed again, becoming a flat, smooth surface. Medical teams carried out the defeated hexapods who were already beginning to wake up. Second round begins now. This time, only one opponent entered. It was a Petron, a creature that looked like a walking boulder. Its skin was actually made of stone-like material. It stood 9 feet tall and probably weighed more than a small vehicle. The crowd was paying attention now. The first round had been surprising. The second round would show if the first was just luck. The Petron moved slowly but steadily toward Jiwoo. Its stone fists were as big as her head. One solid hit would end the fight. Jiwoo circled around it, staying out of range. She needed to find its weakness. All creatures had weaknesses, even ones made of stone. The Petron swung at her with a massive fist. Jiwoo dodged and noticed something important. The creature's joints weren't made of stone. They were softer material that allowed movement. She moved closer, staying low. When the Petron swung again, she didn't dodge away. Instead, she moved toward its arm and struck the joint at its elbow with a precise hit. The creature roared in pain and surprise. Its arm suddenly couldn't bend properly. Jiwoo smiled. Master Park had been right. Every opponent had weak points. She began a new strategy. Instead of trying to hurt the stone parts, she targeted every joint she could reach. Elbows, knees, ankles, shoulders. Each strike was aimed at the soft, connecting tissue. The Petran became frustrated. It tried to grab her, but she was too fast and too small. It tried to slam its fists down on her, but she rolled away each time. After 5 minutes, the stone creature could barely move. Its joints were too damaged to coordinate properly. It swayed on its feet like a broken machine. Jiwoo ended the fight with a sweep kick that knocked out both of its weakened ankles. The Petran toppled like a falling tree, shaking the arena floor when it hit. "Round 2 goes to Cadet Park," the announcer shouted. This time the cheers were louder and longer. Even some of the alien cadets who had bet against her were clapping. Jiwoo looked up at Torgon again. The Alpha Kralix was standing now, his bone ridges fully extended. His pack around him looked worried for the first time. "Impossible," she heard one of them say. "How did the soft flesh defeat a Petran?" "Lucky hits," another replied. "The Alpha will crush her." But Jiwoo could see doubt in their eyes. She had done something they thought was impossible. Twice. Commander Vextar approached her from the side of the arena. "Do you need time to rest before the final round?" Jiwoo was tired, but she was also focused in a way she had never been before. Everything her father had taught her was working. Every lesson from Master Park was proving true. "No," she said. "I'm ready." The commander nodded with what might have been respect. "Very well. Prepare for the final round." The arena floor changed one more time, becoming a natural fighting ground with soft earth and scattered rocks. This was the traditional setup for an alpha challenge. The crowd fell silent as Torgon entered the arena. He moved with the confidence of a natural predator. His claws gleamed under the arena lights. His teeth showed in what might have been a smile or a threat. "Little human," he called across the arena. "You have surprised everyone today. But now you face a real warrior. Now you face death." Jiwoo took a deep breath and settled into her fighting stance. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "Little star, remember that the biggest storms create the strongest trees." "Then let's see who survives the storm," she said. Torgon moved across the arena like a living mountain. Each step shook the ground beneath Jiwoo's feet. Up close, he was even more terrifying than she had imagined. His claws were as long as her fingers. His teeth could bite through metal. The bone ridges along his spine made him look like some ancient dragon. "Last chance to surrender, little prey," he rumbled. "I will make your death quick if you kneel now." Jiwoo stayed in her fighting stance. "I'm not prey. And I'm not little. I'm human." Torgon laughed, but the sound was different now. Less amused, more dangerous. "Human. Yes. Soon everyone will know what happens to humans who challenge their betters." The arena fell completely silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Thousands of alien eyes watched from the seats above. "Begin!" Commander Vextar's voice echoed across the arena. Torgon exploded forward with shocking speed. Jiwoo barely had time to dodge as massive claws swept through the air where her head had been. The wind from his attack knocked her off balance. Before she could recover, his other hand came around in a backhanded swipe. Jiwoo threw herself backward, rolling across the ground. Claws raked the earth inches from her body. The crowd gasped. Torgon was faster than anyone had expected. Much faster. Jiwoo scrambled to her feet and tried to create distance, but Torgon was already moving again. His long arms gave him incredible reach. Every time she thought she was safe, claws came slashing toward her. For 2 minutes, Jiwoo did nothing but dodge and retreat. Torgon's attacks came like a storm of violence. High swipes, low sweeps, lunging grabs. She couldn't find any opening to counterattack. "Run, little human," Torgon taunted between attacks. "Show everyone how your species fights." By running away, some of the alien crowd began to cheer for Torgon. They had been impressed by Jiwoo's first 2 victories, but this looked like the end they had expected from the beginning. Jiwoo's back hit the arena wall. She had run out of room to retreat. Torgon smiled, showing all his teeth. "Nowhere left to run, prey." He lunged forward with both hands, trying to pin her against the wall. At the last second, Jiwoo dropped low and rolled between his legs. As she came up behind him, she struck the back of his knee with her elbow. It was like hitting a tree trunk. Torgon didn't even seem to notice. He spun around faster than something his size should be able to move. One massive hand caught Jiwoo across the chest and sent her flying. She hit the ground hard and rolled several times before coming to a stop. Pain shot through her ribs. Blood ran from her nose. For a moment, her vision went dark around the edges. "Get up," she whispered to herself. "Get up, Jiwoo." Torgon was walking toward her slowly now, enjoying his advantage. "Did you think your little tricks would work on me? I am not some clumsy Petron or predictable hexapod. I am Kralix. I am Alpha." Jiwoo struggled to her feet. Her chest hurt with every breath, but nothing felt broken. She wiped blood from her nose and focused on Torgon's movements. He was right. He wasn't like the other opponents. He was too fast, too strong, too smart. Fighting him like she had fought the others would only get her killed. But as she watched him approach, she noticed something. His attacks were powerful and fast, but they followed patterns. All predators had hunting patterns, even the most dangerous ones. Torgon attacked again, but this time Jiwoo didn't try to dodge away. Instead, she stepped closer inside his reach. His claws whistled through the air above her head. She struck upward at his solar plexus with all her strength. It was like punching a wall, but she felt him grunt slightly. Before he could grab her, she was already moving, circling around his side. She targeted pressure points she had memorized from the Kralix anatomy files. A quick strike to a nerve cluster in his ribs, a kick to the back of his ankle. Torgon roared in anger and spun to follow her, but Jiwoo was already somewhere else. She stayed close, too close for his long reach to be effective. "Stand still and fight," he bellowed. "This is how humans fight," Jiwoo replied, landing another strike to his lower back. She was starting to understand his movement patterns now. Kralix were pack hunters, but alphas were used to fighting from the front, using intimidation and raw power. They weren't used to opponents who moved like water, who attacked from unexpected angles. Torgon's frustration was growing. His attacks became wilder, less controlled. That was exactly what Jiwoo needed. She led him toward the center of the arena, where scattered rocks provided obstacles. When he lunged at her, she used a rock as a stepping stone to reach his head level. Her knee connected with his jaw. For the first time, Torgon staggered backward. The crowd erupted in shocked gasps. No one had ever seen an Alpha Kralix knocked off balance by such a small opponent. But Jiwoo's victory was short-lived. The attack had hurt Torgon, but it had also made him truly angry. His yellow eyes blazed with rage. The bone ridges along his spine stood up fully, making him look even more dangerous. A low growling sound came from his throat. "You want to see real Kralix fighting?" he snarled. "You want to see what happens when you anger an alpha?" Something changed in Torgon's posture. His muscles tensed differently. His breathing became faster and deeper. Jiwoo realized with growing alarm what was happening. He was entering berserker rage, the legendary Kralix battle state that made them nearly unstoppable. "Oh no," she heard Hyunsik say from the crowd. Torgon's roar shook the entire arena. When he moved now, he was twice as fast as before. His attacks came with the fury of a natural disaster. Jiwoo barely escaped the first swipe. The second one caught her shoulder and sent her spinning. The third one she didn't dodge at all. Claws raked across her back, tearing through the combat suit. She hit the ground hard and rolled. When she came up, there was blood on her back and her left arm wasn't working properly. Torgon advanced like a force of nature. In berserker rage, Kralix felt no pain and showed no mercy. They fought until either they or their enemy was dead. The crowd was on their feet now, screaming with excitement. This was the kind of violence they had come to see. Jiwoo backed away, her mind racing. Everything she had learned about fighting was useless against a berserker. They were too fast, too strong, too wild to predict. But then she remembered something Master Park had taught her years ago. When facing a berserker of any species, remember this. Rage makes them stronger, but it also makes them stupid. Use their anger against them. Torgon came at her like a charging bull. Instead of dodging, Jiwoo did something that made the entire crowd gasp. She ran straight toward him. At the last possible second, she dropped into a sliding tackle, passing between his legs. As she slid past, she struck upward with both hands at a specific point on his spine. Torgon's momentum carried him forward, but something was wrong. His legs weren't working properly. He crashed to the ground and tried to get up, but his back legs wouldn't support him. Jiwoo had found the exact nerve cluster that controlled his lower body motor functions. Master Park had made her memorize the weak points of dozens of species, including predators like the Kralix. But Torgon wasn't finished. Even with his legs not working, he was still incredibly dangerous. He pulled himself forward with his arms, trying to reach Jiwoo. "This ends now," Jiwoo said quietly. She waited until he was close enough, then moved in for the final strike. Her target was the connection point between his neck and spine. Hit it correctly, and his entire nervous system would shut down temporarily. Torgon saw her coming and swung both arms at once. It was his most powerful attack yet. Jiwoo ducked under the swing and stepped forward. Her hand rose in a precise strike, aimed at the exact spot where his spine met his skull. The sound of her hand connecting with his neck echoed across the silent arena like a gunshot. The crack echoed through the arena like thunder. Torgon's massive body went completely still. His yellow eyes rolled back and closed. The great Alpha Kralix, terror of a dozen worlds, lay motionless on the arena floor. For several heartbeats, no one moved. No one spoke. The silence was so complete that Jiwoo could hear her own breathing. Then the arena exploded into chaos. Half the crowd roared in disbelief. The other half sat in stunned silence. Some aliens stood on their seats, trying to get a better look. Others pointed and spoke rapidly in their own languages. "Impossible!" Someone shouted. "The Alpha is down." How did she do that? Medical teams rushed onto the arena floor. Jiwoo stepped back, her legs shaking from exhaustion and shock. She had done it. She had actually done it. The chief medical officer, a tall insect-like creature, examined Torgon with sophisticated scanning equipment. After a few minutes, he looked up at Commander Vextar. "Temporary nervous system disruption," he announced. "No permanent damage. The Alpha will recover fully in approximately 10 minutes. A wave of relief went through the crowd. Even in victory, Jiwoo was glad she hadn't seriously hurt her opponent. Commander Vextar approached her slowly. His reptilian face was impossible to read, but his yellow eyes seemed different somehow. "How?" he asked simply. Jiwoo was too tired to stand straight, but she managed to answer. "Every species has weak points, even the strongest ones. I studied Kralix anatomy until I memorized every nerve cluster, every joint, every vulnerable spot. And the Berserker rage? How did you overcome that?" "I didn't overcome it, I used it. Rage makes you stronger, but it also makes you predictable. When Torgon entered Berserker state, he stopped thinking and started reacting. That made him easier to fight, not harder." The commander nodded slowly. "Fascinating. In 20 years of teaching, I have never seen strategy overcome raw power so completely." Medics arrived to check Jiwoo's injuries. Her back needed treatment for the claw marks, and her shoulder was badly bruised. But she could walk, and more importantly, she could think clearly. As the medics worked, she watched Torgon beginning to wake up. His massive head moved slightly and his eyes opened. When he saw Jiwoo, his expression went through several changes. Confusion, memory, and finally something she hadn't expected. Respect. With effort, Torgon pushed himself up to a sitting position. His legs were still weak, but his upper body worked fine. He looked at Jiwoo for a long moment. "I have fought warriors from 50 worlds," he said, his voice quiet but carrying across the arena. "I have defeated creatures twice my size and half my size, but I have never been beaten by strategy alone." He paused, seeming to struggle with words. "You are not prey human. You are a warrior, a true warrior." The crowd's noise died down as aliens strained to hear what the Alpha was saying. "I challenged you because I thought humans were weak," Torgon continued. "I was wrong. Strength is not just muscle and claw. Strength is also mind and spirit. You have both." He managed to get to his feet, swaying slightly. Then, to everyone's amazement, he performed a Kralix gesture of respect. He lowered his massive head and extended his claws toward the ground. "I ask for your forgiveness, Warrior Jiwoo, and I ask to learn from you." The arena erupted again, but this time the sound was different. It was applause. Real applause from creatures who understood what they had just witnessed. Over the next few days, everything changed for the human cadets. Alien students who had ignored them before now approached with questions about human fighting techniques. Some asked for training sessions. Others wanted to know about Earth's warrior cultures. "Is it true that humans developed hundreds of different fighting styles?" asked a young hexapod cadet. "Yes," Jiwoo replied. "Every region of our world developed its own methods. We've been fighting and learning for thousands of years. Will you teach us?" Jiwoo looked at Wu Jin and Mira, who smiled and nodded. "We'll teach anyone who wants to learn." The academy's instructors were equally interested. Commander Vextar requested detailed reports on human martial arts. Other professors asked about human military history and tactics. Your species has an unusual approach to warfare, noted Professor Cathara, a massive elephant-like creature who taught strategic studies. Most species develop one primary fighting method based on their natural advantages. Humans seem to have developed fighting methods for every possible situation. We had to, Jiwoo explained. We don't have natural weapons or armor. We had to become adaptable to survive. Adaptable, the professor repeated thoughtfully. Yes, that describes human military doctrine perfectly. Adaptable. But the biggest change came from an unexpected source. 3 weeks after the trial, Jiwoo was called to Commander Vextar's office. When she arrived, she found him speaking with a figure she recognized from Academy broadcasts. Admiral Morgan, head of Galactic Defense Command. The Admiral was a being of pure energy contained in a mechanical suit. When he spoke, his voice sounded like music mixed with thunder. Cadet Park, he said, your victory over Alpha Torgon has created ripples throughout the galaxy. Military leaders from dozens of worlds are asking the same question. What else can humans do that we don't know about? Jiwoo wasn't sure how to respond. We're just trying to prove we belong here, sir. Oh, you've done more than that. Much more. Tell me, are there more humans like you on Earth? Millions, sir. Our military academies train thousands of fighters every year. The Admiral's energy form brightened with what might have been excitement. Millions. Fascinating. Commander Vextar, I want you to prepare a proposal for expanded human recruitment, and I want detailed studies of human combat techniques. Yes, sir, the commander replied. The Admiral turned back to Jiwoo. Cadet, your species has just been reclassified. You are no longer listed as protected sentience requiring special consideration. You are now classified as strategic military assets of highest priority. What does that mean, sir? It means the galaxy is about to discover what Earth has known for millennia, that humans are natural warriors, and with the Void Swarm growing stronger every day, we need all the warriors we can get. 6 months later, Jiwoo stood on the observation deck again, looking out at Earth. But this time she wasn't alone. Torgun was beside her, along with a dozen other alien cadets who had become her friends and students. Your world looks peaceful from here, Torgun said. Hard to believe it produced such fierce warriors. The fiercest warriors often come from the most peaceful places, Jiwoo replied. We fight so hard because we have so much to protect. Teach me more about human philosophy, Torgun requested. I want to understand how your people think about warfare, Jiwoo smiled. The great Alpha who had once called her prey was now her most dedicated student. He had learned human fighting techniques with the same intensity he once used for hunting. The first lesson my father taught me, she said, is that the purpose of learning to fight is so that you never have to fight. A true warrior seeks peace but prepares for war. Wisdom, Torgun nodded. No wonder humans are so formidable. You study war like philosophers and fight like demons. Through the window, Jiwoo could see new ships arriving at the station, transport vessels carrying the next group of human cadets. The Academy had tripled its human enrollment, and applications from Earth were pouring in faster than they could be processed. Commander Vextar had been right. Her victory in the trial of Fangs had created ripples, but she was only beginning to understand how far those ripples would reach. In the distance, Earth continued its slow rotation, a small blue world that had just announced to the galaxy that size didn't determine strength, that intelligence could overcome power, that sometimes the smallest fighters cast the longest shadows. And in the darkness between stars, an ancient enemy called the Void Swarm was about to learn what humanity meant when they said they would defend their homes. The human cadet who had walked into the arena as an underestimated newcomer walked out as something far more dangerous, a teacher.